Do I have a background in science? Yeah. I have a degree in geoscience. Why does our brain need sadness? Um, Good question. Well, I think sadness is just is there because there's a difference between happiness and sadness because we know what happiness is, right? Our brains know what it means to be happy. So anything other than that is going to be sad. When you lack that dopamine. Do I believe in a multiverse? It could be. There could be multiverse. Depends what you mean by multiverse. There's multiple hypothetical models. Can you explain consciousness? Consciousness seems to be the sum total of all the electrochemical processes happening in the body. You know, it seems to be all your brain states, all your nervous system. I mean, you have neurons throughout your body that are able to sense their surroundings, and all these sensory systems filter into your brain, which then give you the thoughts and feelings that you have. Okay, we're not going to talk about religion today. Keep tapping, guys. Keep tapping. Everybody subscribe to the YouTube, link in bio, for more content. Why do I think free will doesn't exist? Because we don't control anything about us except for anything. We don't control our surroundings, right? We are the products of our surroundings completely. And it might feel like we have free will. It might feel like we have the choice, the free choice to do what we want, but that's an illusion. Because the way we view time, right? We don't see the future, and the past seems to be gone. So we feel like there's a present moment we're in, but that could be an illusion. What do I have to say about CERN? What do you mean CERN? What about it? How does consciousness emerge from the physical processes of the brain? Again, it's the sum total of those electrochemical reactions going on in your body. What's missing from abiogenesis? Nothing, right? I mean, just details here and there, but we have a very good idea of it. Predestined to not go vegan. Well, I mean, nothing, people always say that all the time. Well, if we don't have free will, then why would I just do whatever I want? That's not how this works, right? You don't have free will right now. So nothing would change about your life if we didn't have free will. It's the same thing. Nothing changes. Nothing changes if we have free will or not.
Hey, a few days ago, we spoke on a debate, and I got like banned for some reason, community guidelines, and I just wanted to ask, you believe in subjective morality, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about religion.
Oh, okay. What are we talking? Science, God, anything?
Science.
Science. Cool. So, do you believe that the universe can be explained solely through naturalism?
Yeah.
And you don't think there's any need for a supernatural reality?
No.
Do you think there's evidence for a supernatural reality or not?
No, let's stay on science.
Okay.
Supernatural is not science, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you have a science question today, or you're just gonna?
Yeah, sure. Is there evidence for a multiverse?
No, there's no evidence of multiverse. If there is evidence, though, it would be in the CMB radiation. We would potentially see collisions of universes in the CMB, but we don't see anything so far. There's scientists that think we do, like Roger Penrose, but I don't know.
Okay, and just one more. Is the Big Bang the beginning of the universe?
Nope, the Big Bang is not the beginning. It's the end of what we can see. The Big Bang is the end of what we observe. There's nothing beyond that we can observe with current technology, current understanding. The Big Bang is simply the Big Bang happened everywhere. By the way, the Big Bang happened where you're standing. We're still in the Big Bang.
Wait, so do you hold to time theory A or B?
B.
B. Okay. All right, well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Take care.
Everybody go subscribe to the YouTube, link in bio. Opinion on the Fermi paradox. That's a hard one because we have very limited data on aliens, but I mean, I suspect that it could be either way. It could be that we're rare and there's very little aliens out there, or maybe the aliens out there are super intelligent such that we would never be able to understand their technology. So the aliens could exist that are super intelligent and be right in front of us, and we wouldn't be able to even know. Much like an ant in an ant farm, right? They have no idea that ant farm is set up for them. Maybe we are part of the alien zoo. That's a possibility too that you can't discount. Protein folding, that is why life is rare. Yeah, well, life itself might not be rare, but intelligent life might be rare. I'm so curious how gravity propagates the speed of light. Yeah. It doesn't. I'm sorry, it does. But it's not like gravity. Gravity is a part of, like, it's part of space and time itself, right? It's something that space and time does. So yeah. How can you harness and utilize renewable energy sources to mitigate climate change? We already are. Solar, wind, those are the solutions to climate change. We already have the solutions.
How can you take a big fat dick in your ass, you fucking faggot? Fuck you.
Is light a constant speed? Light is constant in a vacuum, yes. Do you agree that with Darwin's theory of evolution, the strongest species? That's natural selection happens. Yeah, we observe it. It's not just an. Do you think the UFO footage is credible for military? Probably not. Well, it's credible footage, but it doesn't mean that.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Yeah.
Question. As an atheist, do you believe atheists are, more intelligent, or
We're not talking about religion, okay?
No, atheism isn't religion.
We're not talking about religious topics.
Yeah, I got a question. Wait, I forgot. One sec. Wait, I had to give me a sec. Nah, I don't have a question.
Speaking of the Library of Alexandria, yeah, it's a library that existed in Egypt, I believe 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. And it was when many of the greatest minds were submitting their research there at that library. They would submit their research there. Most of it was about philosophy. A lot of it was about science. mathematics. Eratosthenes, the guy who discovered the Earth was round, has research there. There's a lot of stuff in that library that perhaps we never will know because it burnt down. The library burnt down, and it was at the time the largest library with like the most information. Almost all of human knowledge was there at the library because they had thousands of scrolls, thousands and thousands and thousands of scrolls of all kinds of stuff we will never know about. Keep tapping, guys. Keep tapping.
Hey, is dimensions like other dimensions? Is that like proven or?
Well, dimensions are just a mathematical concept, right? There could be 8, 9, 10 dimensions that we know of that could exist hypothetically, but dimensions are not real things. They're just hypothetical.
Okay, but you can make sense of it mathematically, but I guess conceptually we can't understand it.
No, we can make sense of it mathematically and understand dimensions. There's three dimensions of space, one of time. There's 4D universe. There's 11 in string theory. But dimensions are not like these like portals where you go see in ghosts or spirits. That's nonsense. All the dimension means is spatial, like a spatial temporal thing. It's like a mathematical concept. It has nothing to do with ghosts or demons.
Okay. All right. That was my question. Thank you.
People hear the word dimensions and they think that there's some kind of magic behind that.
Yo, what's up, my mans? Yeah, man, so we're talking about dimensions and stuff like that, bro. Like, what are your thoughts on parallel universes, man?
Where are you, dude? Can you like be quiet there, back there? Okay. Parallel universes, there could be, well, there's multiple different possible ways you can fathom that. It could be that the universe is infinite, and it goes on, space-time goes on forever, and if that's the case, then you'll eventually find another world that is like ours with the same configuration of particles. If the universe is infinite, an infinite number of things will happen, right? It's just mathematically the case. But some scientists disagree about the universe being infinite. I mean, there could be another universe out there, though, where in quantum mechanics, there's something called many worlds, where time kind of splits the world and kind of like different worlds branch out from that. So it could be that time has to do with this, with multiple universes being produced all the time. I don't know. There's many different ways to see it. Why do we only perceive time to move in one direction? Yeah, these are big questions, guys. These are really big questions. I don't know, but it probably has to do with something called flicker fusion. And basically, what that means is it's the way your brain perceives things. It's the amount of things your brain can process per second. In humans, we can process about 65 things per second. 65, the number, relatively speaking, the number put 65 per second amount of stimulation, or stimuli from the outside world. In other animals, it's different. In other animals, it's more, and they can perceive more at one time, which means that they see the world moving by slower for them. So turtles, for example, they perceive way less, which means that they see the world moving quicker than they can process. So we think that time is more dependent on the mind than we typically think. Time is something that the brain produces. Well, the passage of time, at least. Keep tapping, guys. Everybody, go click on my YouTube. Go subscribe to the YouTube. I got lots of great stuff there. I got debates, science, all kinds of great stuff. I have a video coming out tomorrow on abiogenesis. It's a great one. You guys will like it. Where do white holes get all that matter? Well, yeah, it's a good question. I don't know too much about white holes, but all I know is that they're like the reverse of black holes. So asking where do white holes get the matter is like asking where do black holes get their matter. Probably from the outside world. It's not that white holes are intrinsically objects. It's that white holes are just really like kinks in space-time, much like black holes. They're not really objects that you can hold in your hand, right? They're kinks in space-time. White holes equals star. Well, it depends. Yeah, I mean, it depends on how large it is. The larger white hole, the larger white holes could potentially be a Big Bang, right? A universe that stems from a singularity and expands outwards. There's a lot of stuff we don't know about the universe. Space does exist. Time is relative depending on where you are. Yep, time is relative. Time can change depending on your velocity through space. The faster you move through space, the slower you perceive time to be. Well, your perception is the same, but relatively speaking from somebody else's position, they will see you move slower. The more gravity you have, the slower time is perceived. Your time is perceived to be from the outside world. So time is very, very weird. Time is not this absolute thing that we thought it was, or at least Newton thought it was. Einstein showed us that time is completely relative. How do I explain to people that the universe could have always existed? Well, there's no logical inconsistency there. I mean, the universe could have always existed this way, but if you want to get fancy with it, you can explain to them that time is just a dimension, and time itself doesn't pass. All time can exist, just like all the space exists out there. We can perceive of that. Imagine time being the same way. All of time exists out there in the universe. And it's like this big block, this four-dimensional block where all of space and time exists right now. Simultaneously, the future, what we call the future exists. What we call the past is still here. So that's how Einstein viewed the universe. The passage of time is an illusion. Can you create something out of nothing? Well, nothingness is an ill-defined concept. What do you mean by nothing? You know, if I think of a black space or dark, empty space, that's still something. That's still space. It's not possible for me to imagine nothingness, right? How do you really imagine nothing if every time you imagine it, you're imagining something? Can aliens? Okay, we're not doing that one. Okay. Do you think humans will ever be able to create consciousness? Well, yeah. Consciousness, if it's a physical phenomenon, which it seems to be, will be replicated for sure. Not just in biological beings, but also in robotic beings. Perhaps in the future, we'll be able to simulate our kind of consciousness in a robotic way with perhaps quantum particles. After all, that's what we're made of. We are quantum. Everything's quantum. That's how our brains operate. That's how we operate. Will time travel be possible? It is already possible. Just not in the way you think it is, right? Time travel in the sense of changing your position in time. That is absolutely possible. I can go right now in a rocket ship in outer space at half the speed of light. Go out there for a year, come back to Earth a year later. Time for me would have passed about 1 year, but on the Earth about 10 years. So in that kind of way, there's loopholes in space-time that I can take and kind of distort my sense of time relative to other people. that's how you time travel, that way, to the future. Just like every time you fly a plane, you're going 600 miles an hour. Time slows down for you relative to people on the ground. It's just a very small amount. But that you're time traveling. Every time you move fast through space-time, you are exchanging your temporal dimension for spatial dimension. And what that means is you're slowing down time for yourself relative to other people. Is time actually linear? Well, yeah, you can view it as a linear thing. Yeah, of course. Einstein did. But again, we don't know what time is. We don't know what it is for sure. What do you think of AI taking over? I just made a YouTube video about this a couple days ago. Go check out my YouTube. I explained AI and AGI and how it's going to get crazy quick. Can our bodies travel at the speed of light safely? Well, it's not the speed that matters, right? Yes, we can absolutely travel at half the speed of light, for sure, easily. The problem is not the speed. The problem is acceleration. Right? That's what we don't like. Our bodies don't like acceleration. 2Gs, 3Gs, when you're traveling in a fighter jet, 3, 4, 5Gs, your body begins to crumble. You become unconscious from that. It's the acceleration that's bad, right? And accelerating that fast, yes, that can kill you. But simply traveling the speed of light is not going to kill you. Again, because time is a relative thing. Just like how when you're in a plane, you're moving at 600 miles an hour. You don't feel it though, because everything else is moving that fast around you. So it's a really weird phenomenon. What is the true nature of dark matter and dark energy? So there are different things. Dark matter it seems to be matter that doesn't interact with light. We can't see it with light. Light doesn't affect it. So we can't really see it with telescopes. But we can see it with gravitational lensing. We can see the gravity that this dark matter distorts, or the space-time that it distorts. And we can see the light being distorted as it moves through that dark matter. So we can see dark matter that way indirectly. But dark matter seems to be this kind of matter that persists in the universe, that holds galaxies together. When we look out in the universe, we see galaxies moving faster than we would expect them to be moving. And the reason why is because there's dark matter there. There's some extra matter there that we haven't accounted for yet. And we think, as far as we can see today, the dark matter is some kind of weak particle. It's some kind of particle that is not as just a different type of particle, a different type of matter from baryonic matter, the matter we're used to, the stuff that makes up you and me. So dark matter is not too much of a mystery. We just call it dark matter because we can't see it with light. Dark energy is a different phenomenon. Dark energy can be seen more of like a force that permeates all of space-time, and it causes the expansion of the universe itself, right? There's some force that's expanding the universe. And we think this is dark energy. Einstein found this 100 years ago with his special relativity, but dark matter could be some kind of feature of space-time itself. And that's interesting to find. That'll be an interesting thing to find out and discover. Dark energy is more mysterious, but it also could have some quantum mechanical explanation. Why don't we feel the Earth revolving and rotating? Because everything else around you is moving at the same rate, right? Just like in a plane. When you're in a plane, you don't feel like you're moving because everything else around you is moving at 600 miles an hour. Motion's relative, right? Motion is relative. So relative to us on the ground, we're moving at 0 miles an hour. No one understands quantum physics. Why did God make you beautiful? Is there such thing as free energy? No. Did you actually say we can travel the speed of light? No, I never said that. Okay. Can you explain constellations and why they stay the same over the years? Well, stars are far away. Guys, stars are trillions and trillions and trillions of miles away. So it's kind of like when you're on the ground and you're watching an airplane fly by from, 20 miles away. It seems as if the plane's barely moving, right? But if the plane was right next to you, it would be flying past you, right? It's the distances, the vast, vast distances that make it seem as if they don't move, but they do, just slowly, relatively speaking. We only live about 60 years, right? 70, 80 years if we're lucky, and, the amount of movement in the universe is small in that time. But the constellations do change because our orbit around the galaxy changes over 100 million years. We revolve around the entire galaxy over 100 million years, and constellations change. The Earth's axial tilt changes. We see different stars in different areas. There are many different reasons, right? The Earth wobbles on its axis as it moves. So that also affects what we see when we look up in the night sky. So there are many different reasons why. Expanding in all directions. Yes, the universe is expanding in all directions. Well, at all points of the universe is expanding. The universe, the Big Bang is occurring right now where you're standing. The Big Bang happened where you're standing, still is. What is evolution? Evolution is when your genes change over time. When you give offspring to somebody, their DNA is going to be a little bit different than yours. And those differences, those mutations that they inherit, right? Your body's made of trillions of cells, and sometimes mistakes happen when these cells duplicate. That's called a mutation. Then these mutations can be passed down to your kids, and if that happens enough times in a given population, you have a different species over many thousands of generations. Populations can split, they can go different ways, they can change in different ways, and that's what speciation is. Can you explain light years? What do you mean? Light year is a distance, right? It's a distance of about 6 trillion miles. And it's the amount of distance light takes to light would travel in, I think, a year, I believe. So for every 1 light year, it would take light 1 Earth year to travel that 6 trillion miles. And the closest star to us is 4 light years away. So traveling at the speed of light, it would take you 4 years to get to the next star. Traveling at the speed of light. That's how big the universe is. So that's what a light year means. Opinion on nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is cool, but it's expensive and it's not scalable. It's not as scalable as solar and wind. I can put up a solar field in 8 months. I can put up a wind farm in 6 months and power 30, 40 megawatts. A nuclear power plant would take years to build and only maybe yield you a couple hundred megawatts. So I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm not saying that they're very good. How many stars are in our galaxy? There are at least 400 billion stars in our galaxy. 400 billion stars. When you look up at the night sky, you can only see about 10,000 stars. That might be, say if you're on a beach, that might be about 1 handful of sand. That's about 10,000 grains in your hand. So the amount of stars in the galaxy is probably the amount of sand on like all the beaches in America or all the beaches in South America. It's a lot of grains of sand, just like a lot of stars out there. And there are trillions of galaxies out there. That's the scary part. There's trillions of galaxies out there, each with hundreds of billions, if not even trillions of stars of their own. Has the Earth been visited by aliens? If they have visited us, they're doing a good job at hiding it. There's no evidence. What is the point of going to Mars if there is a lack of resources? Well, the point of going to Mars is, there is no point to going to Mars, but we want to because we want to have a second place to be, right? What if something bad happened to the Earth? What happens if we all go extinct? What if the Earth gets hit by an asteroid? What happens? Wouldn't it be great to have a second home to go to, and just in case something bad happens here? But also, humans are explorers. We love to explore the world. We love to see what's out there, and Mars is a great place to be. But Mars is actually very similar to Earth. Mars has a 24-hour day. Mars has polar ice caps. The Martian regolith, right, the soil, it's not really soil, but the stuff that makes up the surface of Mars, very much similar to Earth soil. Almost identical in terms of chemical ingredients, minerals. You can literally grow plants in the soil if you put water on it. There's certain compounds that you gotta get rid of first, but if you can put water and organics into the soil, you can grow stuff on Mars, with the Martian sand. And there's water on Mars. There is water, not liquid in the form of ice, but there's a lot of it. There's a lot of ice on Mars. If you melted the entire Martian surface, you would unleash about 10, 20 feet of water, oceans of water covering the entire planet. So Mars has a lot of water that we can see. So we have plans to go to Mars and set up a solar plant or a nuclear plant where we can get energy. We plan to go there and build a dome habitat that we can live under. We can have a greenhouse to create food. We can drill under the ground and melt that water and turn it into water for drinking. There's many possible things we can do at Mars. It's a very hostile planet. Don't get me wrong. It's freezing and there's lots of radiation and it's far, but it's a great place to explore. You know, if we go to Mars, we can discover if there was ever life there. Thank you for the guess. Thank you. Okay. Thoughts on Aaron Ra? I met him a few years ago. Why isn't the night sky white if there is an infinite amount of stars in the sky? Good question. First of all, we don't know if there's an infinite amount of stars, but let's say you're right. Let's say that the universe is infinite. Why don't we see a sky that's white, right? Shouldn't the light have had time to reach us? Well, the problem is that the universe is expanding. And the expansion of the universe, at some points of it, the universe is expanding faster than light. So light coming in from another part of the universe, the opposite side of the universe, it could not traverse that space in time to reach us because that space in between is expanding faster. So that light would have to continue trying to keep up to get to us. So it's very freaky, but there is a point in the universe that all of our observations of it stops. We can't see past it and never will because the universe is expanding faster than light. So this is called the event horizon of the universe, where all of our observations stop. We don't see anything. And this is why, if there is an infinite amount of stars, it would never be white because space is expanding faster than light itself. See, the speed of light is the limit of our universe, but that only pertains to things within space-time, not the space-time itself. Space-time itself, the fabric of the universe itself, can move as fast as it wants to. There's no laws limiting the speed of that. It's the things within space-time that are limited. If the universe is expanding, then it has an edge. No, why would that make any sense? The universe is expanding into itself. There is no boundary to the universe necessarily. It could be that the universe is everywhere. There is no end to it. And it expands forever. You know, we don't know what else is out there. We can't see it, and we have no evidence. But it's possible that the universe is infinite and there is no edge. Could be. Yeah, we don't know what the answer is. Do you? Do you have the answer? No, nobody does. And that's the beautiful part about it. I just subscribed. Yeah, please subscribe to my YouTube for lots of content. Thank you for the gifts, guys. Thank you. Do you think AI will contribute to space discoveries? Yeah, it already has. AI has already discovered many things about proteins and biology. It's just a matter of time before it supersedes our capabilities. Was the Big Bang a loud noise? No, it was not a bang. The universe is still expanding right now. Right now it's expanding. Sound doesn't travel in space, by the way. There is no medium to travel through. Sound is when you have vibrations of particles. They vibrate through medium like air. And these vibrations hit your ear gets stimulated, those signals get sent to your brain, and you hear the sound. That's how you hear. You hear through your brain, not your ears. Your ears and your eyes and your nose, these are just sensory systems that filter in the data from the outside world. Your brain is what processes what you see. You see with your brain. You hear with your brain. You smell with your brain. Your brain is processing all of those things, all of our sensory systems. What would happen if the moon disappeared? If the moon disappeared, like vanished, we wouldn't have tides. We wouldn't have as many strong tides. We would, people would notice, first it would get darker at night, way darker at night. We would notice that the tides stopped to a large degree. That would cause a lot of stagnation in the ocean. It would disturb the ocean a bit. It would disturb some animals, but it wouldn't kill us. It would be a different place for sure, but it wouldn't kill us necessarily. It might perhaps change our evolutionary track. Okay, somebody came in. Okay. A good question so far, guys. Keep tapping and thank you for subscribing to my YouTube. Thank you. What is the best science? They're all the best. Science is amazing. I'm assuming we couldn't survive without the sun. Oh yeah, if the sun vanished, we'd all be freezing. We literally would all be freezing. The earth would plunge down to about 0 degrees Celsius. And from that moment, it'll get even colder and colder and colder. And we'd all be dead. Probably within, I would say within a week, we'd all be dead. The earth would freeze over. what is the next closest planetary system similar to ours? Well, that's a very difficult thing to say because we barely know many. We don't really have a catalog of all the different planetary systems out there. There are some, though, that we understand, and for the most part, actually, many of the star systems out there are different than ours. Ours happens to be somehow unique in the configuration. But Kepler has a system that is like ours. It has, I believe, 7 or 8 planets. WASP, several planets on the WASP system. But so far we've seen no evidence that there is anything like life out there like ours, but it's possible. We haven't looked that much yet. Okay. What would happen if we had 2 suns? We'd be hot. We'd be way hotter than we are today. We would not have, well, depending on the system, we would probably not have nighttime. There'd probably be enough sunlight to light the entire planet, depending on the binary system. But yeah, we'd basically have 2 sunsets and 2 sunrises every day. Okay. By the way, guys, most star systems out there in the universe, or in our galaxy at least, are binary systems. Did you guys know that? Most stars in our galaxy are smaller than ours. They're dwarf stars, they're red dwarfs. Most stars are binary systems too, which is very interesting. The sun is actually, people say that the sun is an average star. Not exactly. It's a bit above average when it comes to size. From what we've seen, it's also a bit unique that we have a Jupiter so close to the rocky planets. That's pretty unique. What if we had 2 moons? We would have multiple tides per day. We'd have either, depending on the configuration, we'd have either way stronger tides, or we'd have 2 different tides per day. 2 different tides. I mean, 4 different tides, right? In, out, in, out. High tide, low tide, high tide, low tide. Are there any places with oxygen? Yeah, so oxygen is a hard thing to find out there because it's a very reactive element. It loves to bind with iron, it loves to bind with water, it loves to bind with carbon. So it's hard to find free oxygen out there in space. But I believe we found, I think one planet or so that has oxygen, but we found out that it's not because of life; it's because of some physical reaction, chemical reaction going on. There are oxygen. Finding oxygen is not the smoking gun for life, because there are natural processes that can produce oxygen as well. But if we do find oxygen that's free in the atmosphere, that is a good indicator of life. But I got to double check on. Oxygen is highly flammable? What does that even mean? You can't burn oxygen. Isn't an atmosphere mostly nitrogen? Yeah. There are some planets that have larger atmospheres than we do. Even in our own solar system, we have Titan, is a moon of Saturn that has a larger atmosphere than we do, and it's mostly nitrogen gas. So the most similar system to ours is Titan, which is amazing to think about. Why is having a planet like Jupiter so unique? Because early in our solar system's history, Jupiter, I believe, either collided with another planet and it got stuck into the inner side. I believe that was the case. I could be wrong, but there was some phenomenon that tugged those larger planets closer. Typically, we find gas giants very close, either very close to the star or very far away from the star. Typically, we find very large planets that are way bigger than Jupiter, but really close to their stars. Really close. Subscribe to the YouTube, guys, by the way, if you guys like the content. I got science videos, debate videos, all kinds of great videos up there. Venus moon support life. I don't know if Venus has a moon. But does Venus support life? No. Venus is way too hot. Venus is about 900 degrees Fahrenheit on its surface. It is extremely hot. You would die if you were on that surface for even a second. You'd burn. You would literally boil, vaporize away. How big is the Earth? It's pretty big for a rocky planet. Is it bad if you breathe pure oxygen for too long? Yes. Yes, it is bad if you breathe pure oxygen for too long. How bad? I don't know, but all I know is that you need a specific amount of concentration of oxygen. If it's 99 or 100%, that's bad for you. How did the Big Bang happen? How did the Big Bang happen? What caused it to happen? What made that cause the Big Bang? Well, we don't know what caused the Big Bang, but we have ideas in quantum mechanics. The Big Bang is the end of what we can see. Our Einsteinian laws of physics break down at the Big Bang. We can't use our physics anymore. We don't understand what happens at the Planck length. So we need quantum mechanics to solve it. And in quantum mechanics, we have ideas such as quantum fluctuations. These quantum fields that they fluctuate, and specific fluctuations can yield this inflationary universe. So kind of like this energy it's held up in this fluctuation, in this quantum field, in potential energy form, and then randomly speaking, because quantum mechanics is random, it fluctuates, and bam, you have an inflationary universe like ours. So that's one plausible case, but again, we don't know for sure. What is the best things humans have to describe our universe? Quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is the best thing we have to describe our universe. It is by far the best thing. We are all quantum. We are quantum. We work on the quantum level. And everything is quantum. And for so long, Einstein even has kind of dismissed that, right? He didn't want to believe that we existed as a quantum mechanical being. But we are quantum mechanical, as Schrödinger showed us. Is the Big Bang just a small spark? We don't know. We don't know, guys. These are big questions, but we don't know. These are big questions to ask. The Big Bang was not necessarily the cause of the universe, by the way, right? The Big Bang could be a phase the universe goes through. There could be expansion phases and contraction phases. Or maybe beyond the Big Bang is a twin universe, where instead of time going this way, it goes the other way. Instead of entropy going this way, it goes the opposite way. There could be a twin universe. There could be all kinds of possibilities beyond the Big Bang. But the Big Bang is simply as far back as we can see. It does not necessarily mean it's the beginning. String theory? Well, yeah, a lot of physicists think that string theory is the best. What string theory says is that, very simplistically speaking, that on the most fundamental level, there's something smaller than atoms. There's something smaller than protons and electrons. There's something smaller than that. Quarks, something even smaller than quarks. And these are these one-dimensional strings, these filaments that are one-dimensional, that exist in this quantum realm that fluctuate. And they vibrate. And specific vibrations of these strings can yield certain particles. Certain strings vibrate this way, they become electrons. Certain strings vibrate another way, they become different particles. But that's a very simplistic understanding of string theory. There's much more about it. There's all kinds of two-dimensional objects, and very, very difficult, beyond my pay grade. Okay. Do you think the universe is infinitely expanding? Seems to be the case. Seems to be the case. So before the Big Bang, there could be other civilizations. Well, the Big Bang is... there might not be before it. Maybe there is no before the Big Bang, right? Maybe that's like asking what's at the edge of the Earth, or what's north of the North Pole. There is no north of it, right? That's the end. It could be that the Big Bang is simply the boundary of what we observe in the known universe. Will the Earth ever end and die? Yeah, the Earth will, the Earth will vaporize in about 1 billion years. The sun, right now, the sun is exhausting all of its energy in the core. It's running out of fuel. The sun is only burning because it's so big, right? But once it burns all of its fuel, the sun is going to go away. It's going to implode, not explode, implode. But in about 1 billion years from now, the sun will begin to exhaust its fuel to a degree that will render it larger. It'll grow. And when it grows a little bit, Earth will pretty much get hot enough to melt pretty much everything on the surface. We will not survive if we exist. The Earth will not vaporize necessarily, but it'll be very hot. And then in another 1 billion years after that, it will expand even further and completely engulf the Earth until it's vaporized. So we have about 2 billion years before we go bye-bye. I'm gonna be old in 1 billion years, yeah. How did we get here? What do you mean, how do we get here? We didn't take an Uber here. Like, we didn't just take a cosmic Uber, right? All right, guys, bring me to Earth. No, we could have always existed in some way, and through time change. What is the difference between Einstein and Newtonian mechanics? Newton thought space was static, that time was static, that Time doesn't change. It's not relative at all. He also didn't understand gravity. He didn't understand that gravity are things moving through the curvature of space-time. He thought that gravity was a force, that things pull on each other. That's not how gravity works. There's no pulling. Einstein came around and showed us that gravity is not a force. It's not pulling things. That's only how we perceive it. Gravity it's more accurate to say that gravity is the curvature of space-time. It's the warping of space-time itself. It's objects in the universe following the curved geodesics of space-time. And that's a more accurate representation of gravity, and that time can be melded with space as one fabric, and that your position within space-time determines your velocity, your speed through the space-time determines your time. Can you explain time dilation? Yeah, well, explain how it works, or time dilation is when time, relatively speaking to somebody else, your sense of time changes based on your velocity. The faster you move through space, the slower time passes for you relative to somebody else. It's always relative, right? But from your perception, time will always be the same. But but let's say, for example, I go into a rocket ship and I travel half the speed of light, and I keep traveling out there in space for a year, right? Travel a whole year at half the speed of light. Then I come back to the Earth a year later. Well, guess what? A year only passed for me, and from my perception, but on the Earth, 10 years would have passed. The Earth is 10 years older. The Earth aged 10 years, I only aged 1 year, right? And it's because there's this kind of like loophole. It's because of the curvature of space-time that you get to do this. Because every time you move through space, you're actually changing your coordinates. And very difficult to explain without a graph, but the point is that your time, relatively speaking, changes versus other people. And you can actually calculate, if you're good at this, you can actually calculate exactly how fast you need to travel and how long to come back to Earth and go as far into the future as you want to. It's very interesting. And this is kind of like a logarithmic way it works, right? The faster you move through space, the more time elapses for people on Earth. In other words, the slower time moves for you. What happens to your consciousness when you die? The same place it went when you were not born, right? Before you were born. Where was your consciousness when you were not born? It was in the air. It was in the water. It was in the soil. It was in electron form, right? That's all consciousness is. Consciousness is the byproduct of these electrochemical impulses in your body. That energy was always there. It's not like it's a new energy. It was always there. It's just that you're conscious in this form. But when you die, the energy will dissipate. It will go into the air and soil and atmosphere. Again, where it came from. Every time you drink water, every time you eat food, you are producing consciousness because you're giving your body energy. That drink of water is going into my body, my blood. My blood will transport it to my cells. My cells will take that, use it to produce energy, right? Produce electrochemical energy, which then goes into my brain and produces my sense of thought and feeling. So every time you eat food or drink water, you are sustaining this living process, right? And that's all consciousness is. It's this process, this electrochemical process that emerges when you have all these interactions of things in your body. So asking where does consciousness go when you die is like asking where does consciousness go when you take a dump? It goes into the toilet. Okay. Can we survive without animals? Well, yeah. What do you mean? Sheer survival? Like in terms of can we survive as a species? Of course. But, you know, do animals have uses for us? Yeah. Do they play a part in our existence to some degree? Of course. What if the universe runs out of energy? I don't know what that means. The energy of the universe is zero. It doesn't change. It's always conserved, right? Energy is always conserved. Well, that's if the universe is a closed system, which it could be. But if it's an open system, then, you know, there could be some kind of energy leakage somewhere, but we have no evidence of that. We have no reason to think that's the case. But as far as we can see, energy in the universe is zero. It's just zero. It doesn't change. It's just zero because it's all equalized. Energy never goes away. It's always conserved, and it always changes states, right? So, how do I put this? Energy goes from potential to kinetic, and that's all, right? It goes from kinetic to potential and then vice versa. Everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube, by the way. Appreciate it. So when we run, what happens to that energy? It becomes heat. Your body gets hot, and that goes into the atmosphere, right? That's what you're doing. You're taking energy from the outside world by eating food and drinking water. You're consuming energy, and then you're expelling energy. When you take a dump, when you go to the restroom, when you sweat, when you do all these things you do, when you run, right? You're transferring energy to the ground, to the air, to the water, to the soil. You're transferring energy outwards. So life is that kind of process. Life is that chemical process, a very elaborate chemical process that kind of dissipates heat and energy. And it's very efficient at doing so. How do healthy people get cancer? Well, cancer is a natural product of life. DNA is inherently a flawed molecule. It's not a perfect thing. It makes mistakes. When your cells duplicate every time, there's a small chance of a mistake happening. And it happens all the time. You have trillions of cells every day, every single day. Millions of cancer cells are produced in the body. Everybody has cancer cells in their bodies right now. It's just a matter of how many and how long, right? Because if these cancer cells build up in your body and tumors grow, well, that's a problem. But your body has a way of destroying cancer cells. Like your T cells can kill them off. Your immune system can fight them. But sometimes cancer cells can bypass these systems and wreak havoc on the body for a multitude of reasons. Some cancers are more aggressive than others. Some cancers are more powerful than others. It all depends on the type of cancer. It's unfortunate, but it's just a byproduct of life itself. Okay, please stop spamming. I'm so tired of the spamming. You're gonna get muted, okay? Thoughts on Neuralink? I think it's awesome. I think it's the future. I think the future will be a world where we talk through our technology in our minds. We'll be connected to the internet through our minds. There's no need. We will never need phones in the future. We'll talk through our minds. Your brain emits signals, and if you can take these signals and convert them into, electrical signals, you send them out to other people, and that's it. That's how Neuralink works. You're taking advantage of the brain signals. You're analyzing them. You're converting them into radio signals. And I know this is so crazy for some people, but it's called science, right? This is a real phenomenon. You can really do this. We can already do it today. We can already observe thoughts and transform them into images with AI. This is already possible. Why is yawning contagious? Well, probably some evolutionary reason, probably social reasons. I don't know, but good question. Humans in our past were always together in families. That's who we are, right? Or as human beings, we love to live in families. So we're always together, and so we're very social animals. And of course, when you're together, somebody yawns, right? It might be some kind of a... What about things like brain chips that can fight diseases? Yeah, anything's possible with biotechnology. It could be the case that in the future we can have robotic cells go into your body and fight specific cells. It will be possible in the near future that you take a pill, and that pill is an embedded robot that specifically goes into the body, the bloodstream, and kills cancer cells, destroys them, it zaps them. That's a possibility. It's a very large possibility. Don't you worry about AI going too far? I worry about humans going too far. I'm not worried about AI. AI is way smarter will be way smarter than we are. I am not worried about AI. I'm worried about humans. Our future is screwed. Because the future always aligns with knowledge and facts. It always does. That's a trend. The facts always win. So, problem is, people don't like the facts sometimes, right? We don't like knowledge. We get emotional about it. So AI doesn't have emotions. They don't care. They just do, right? They just understand things. They don't care. So in the future, I believe that we're the ones who have to worry about ourselves. Why do we have war? Why do we have famine? Why do we have all these terrible things that we cause? Why? Why are we doing these things? We don't have to worry about the AI. We got to worry about ourselves. Why are people becoming overweight every year? Obvious. People are eating way more food than ever before. We are overeating by far, and we're not exercising as much. We're not going outside, and that's the problem. We have lost connection to nature. We no longer go outside. I rarely see people go outside. I rarely see it these days. Everybody's indoors. and they're eating all the time, eating, and we've enveloped ourselves in this culture that promotes this constant eating, constant eating, and the food we're eating is bad, right? Junk, full of garbage, full of fats. So it's obvious why we're overweight. Please subscribe to the YouTube, guys. Thank you so much. I saw your Q-top debate. Very interesting. You have another subscriber. I will order your book soon. Thank you. Yeah, my debate with Q-top's on my YouTube. Go check it out. I have a great video coming out tomorrow about abiogenesis. Can you explain quarks and bosons? What do you mean? They're just particles. Quarks just make up protons, and the bonding force between those quarks and bosons make up the protons. People don't realize, but that there are atomic forces at work in every cell, in every molecule. So every particle, every element, every atom. Our brains are not very good at understanding the quantum world. That's the scary part. Our brains are not good at determining the quantum world. But what is? Quantum computers. Right? So it's obvious that's the future. The future is quantum computers, because they can more work on the quantum realm or understand it better than we. Okay. I'm getting tired. Oh, we have a guest. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, he left. Okay, good. What if aliens are just advanced AI? Could be. You know, if the future is if aliens exist, they could be billions of years ahead of us. In that sense, they could have technology that is way above our understanding. Intelligence way above our understanding. Where's the debate with Q-top? YouTube. It's in my YouTube. Link in my bio. Go check it out. Go subscribe, guys. Everybody subscribe. Subscribe.
Hello?
How old are you?
69.
Do I believe in quantum immortality? No, I don't believe in quantum immortality. I think it's the closest thing we have to immortality. But again, there's no reason to think it's the case, but it's plausible. But I think it's the closest thing we have to like an afterlife kind of thing. The closest conceivable thing I can think of. Oh no. I hate this.
What's up, Mike? What's up, bro?
Yeah, what? What do you got?
All right, so I've been in you've seen my name, right? I've been in your lives for years, and when you're debating people about God, you always like bring up the Big Bang and stuff. And what I wanted to talk to you, because I'm not a believer of God, and I'm also not a believer of like the Big Bang, right? So my question is like, so you know how they thought the universe was 13.9 billion years old?
Yeah.
And now we've gotten more powerful telescopes, and we found out, no, the universe isn't that old. The universe has actually been around way longer than we may have thought. We actually don't even know how old it is until we get better telescopes again.
No. So you're talking about one paper that came out that
Go ahead.
slightly challenged the notion of a 13.8 billion year universe. It doesn't. First of all, this one paper, it's not even a really irrelevant paper, but also
Okay.
the fact that, just let's say you're right that the age of the universe changes. Who cares? Science doesn't care about your feelings, right? If the evidence shows us otherwise, we will adapt. Science adapts to the new evidence. We don't just sit there and cry that we got it wrong, like religious people do. We continue searching for the answers. So that's why science is way better than any religion.
I'm not religious, bro. But
Okay, great. So what's your point?
no, I was just okay. So I've been watching, Discovery Channel all my life. I've been watching stuff about the Big Bang and science all my life, and I've come to the conclusion, like, I don't know if this is already a theory, but why don't people like, what if the universe never began? You know what I mean? Like, what if there was never a beginning to the universe?
Yeah, we don't know. It could be the case that the universe always existed. The Big Bang is not necessarily the beginning, right? The Big Bang could be something smaller in a larger expanse.
I feel like okay, so I feel like with religion, there's a paradox. There's always going to be another question, and there's always going to be another question, and it's never going to end. And I don't feel like you can get a solution that way.
Okay, great. Neither can you. We don't have the solution. There is no ultimate solution to the universe, right? It's not 42. We don't know. But what science is trying to figure out things as much as it can. We never suggest that there's an ultimate answer in science. We never say that. We're always in pursuit of truth, no matter where it is.
But when you go to the Big Bang, I feel like it's also a paradox. There's always more questions.
Why? What about it is a paradox?
Because people are gonna want to know, what caused the Big Bang. They're gonna want to know what caused that.
We have answers. We have answers, right? We have quantum fluctuations. Those are plausible.
Okay, but there's always going to be another question that needs to be answered.
Okay, and?
Okay, so if the universe is infinite, if the universe has always been here and there was never a beginning, that's not a paradox. It's just always been here. Nothing created the universe. The universe fundamentally exists.
Can you get to your point now?
Oh, I just came here to say I believe the universe has always fundamentally existed.
Okay. Have a good day, sir. Enjoy your, don't forget to take your medication. Keep tapping, guys. Subscribe to the YouTube, link in bio.
Yo, what up, Mike? Hey, so I had a question. So say like in worst case scenario, we run out of like drinkable water or whatever. And or like water becomes contaminated. do you think it would be possible for scientists to turn, say, like ocean water into a drinkable resource, or like, what is your opinion on something like that?
Yeah, we already have these desalination plants around the world where we have that. We can already do that. It's just very expensive and energy intensive to do that. But
Right.
we'll never run out of drinking water. I think there will always be aquifers to extract water from. There's plenty of water under the surface, but it will be the case that we have droughts more increasingly in the future, and that is a problem. But yes, desalination is a possible solution.
Oh, okay. Right on. Cool. That's all I had. I appreciate you, man.
Chocolate rain. Some stay dry and some just feel the pain. What do you got? Does anybody know what I just said? Like, does anybody get the reference? You gotta be real OG to know that. That was like the first viral video on YouTube. Chocolate rain. I love that video. I love that one and the frog one. Bing, 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 bing. That one. Good old days. That was the good old days. That was the golden age of the internet. The golden age. 2007, 2008. Oh. Never beat those years. All right, guys. Do I like Neil deGrasse Tyson? Yeah, I've been to a few of his lectures. I've met him a couple times. He's an interesting guy. He's a smart guy, but he has some weird takes sometimes. But yeah, he's pretty cool. Everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube. By the way, you guys like the setup here? Look at this beautiful setup. Like, look at this. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Come on. You gotta admit, it's pretty cool. Who is smarter, Tyson or Bill Nye? Love both of them. I love both of them. I would say Tyson is smarter in some regards, but Bill Nye has a better. Bill Nye is more of a people person, and for that Bill Nye is I think a better popularizer of science. People love him more, as I do. But Tyson's a smart guy. He's your uncle. I actually met Bill Nye. I met Bill Nye like a few years ago as well. He's a cool guy. You and Planet Peterson need to take on all the theists. Yeah, that'd be cool. Tomorrow, I'm excited tomorrow for my YouTube channel, because tomorrow I have a new video coming out about abiogenesis, and it is going to be a really good one for you guys. You guys will love that video. It's a great one. It's a great one. Stay tuned, guys. Subscribe to the YouTube to find out. And my friends at Michio Kaku, well, I met him too. He signed one of his books for me, and I met him. I talked to him about solar. I've talked to him before. He's a cool guy. He's like Yoda. He's like really small. He's like 4'9" or something. Thoughts on Stephen Hawking? He's great. I love him. He's one of the best. People forget how much courage he had, right? How many things he's done in his life, despite being in a wheelchair. The challenges he's overcame. No, I don't know of anybody who has that much. That's a lot of power. Imagine being 22 years old and being told you can never walk again, that you can never speak again. That is terrible. But he still changed the world in amazing ways. He still discovered many things. It's inspiring. Nikola Tesla, is he overrated? I don't know if he's overrated, but he wasn't as smart as people think he is in terms of like inventive cognitive power. He was a good inventor, but some of his inventions were just terrible. He was kind of crazy, like mentally. He had schizophrenia and ADD and all that stuff. Like every day he would like count his toes before he would like walk the same number of steps. He would like have the same number of napkins on the table every day. He would talk to birds, like but he still was very inventive and have I learned about the documentary Christ Piracy? No, I don't watch guys, honestly, I don't watch documentaries. I don't I don't watch that stuff. I never watched a documentary like that. I always do the research first. I always look at this like the peer-reviewed studies first. I don't like watch documentaries. If I watch documentaries, it's only if I'm like bored and just want like entertainment. But I honestly don't watch those. Okay, I gotta go.